He was working on average 13 hours a day. Every day. For unpaid. He didn't even get
Hey, are you kidding me? Roger, Roger. You damn Troy and Star Wars get treated better than that.
the brand new energy bar and keeps writing, keeps writing, and keeps writing. Until they die, bro.
2014, a 28-year-old employee at A1 Pictures worked over 600 hours a month.
How many hours are in a month? There's only 720 hours in a month. He was working 16-hour days every day until he killed himself. No, 20 hours a day.
And also, the Japanese government made a report noting that Ufotable was suspected of
Oh, wait.
misappropriating funds from a charity auction for the 2011 Tohoku earthquake. They never
What? Y'all asked me to react to this. Every anime studio explained in 17 minutes.
Studio Toei was founded in 1948, making it one
Older
of the oldest animation studios, and it's responsible for some of the biggest anime ever, like Dragon Ball, One Piece, Sailor Moon, and much, much more. Because they've been around for so long, they have a history that I can't entirely cover, but I'll try. Toei actually helped popularize trends like magical girls with Sailor Moon, or Super Mecha with Mazinger Z, and Toei animation can generally be a mixed bag. Because they take on so many projects and have many different teams working on different productions, the quality can vary wildly. If you see that Toei is animating something, you should check the actual staff involved with that series, and that usually is a better indicator of the actual quality that that series will have.
Because they
I mean,
outsource
just
so
look
much
at the
stuff, and
inconsistency
they
in
bring on so many different animators.
One Piece.
That's so
Some of the
interesting.
episodes are jaw-dropping, but some are just like, eh. But one of the best things about Toei Animation is that their workers are unionized, meaning that they're generally
Unionized?
treated amazingly compared to other anime studios.
Hell yeah.
From what I understand, working on One Piece is a pretty smooth and positive experience.
Hell
Studio
yeah.
Madhouse was
That's
founded
it.
In 1972, and is
That
one
is
of
fire. So they actually treat their animators with dignity
community
and
for their
respect.
sheer quantity of quality shows that they produce. This is mainly because the former founder and CEO, Masao Maruyama, had connections to people like Satoshi Kon, Mamoru Hosoda, and Masaki Yuasa, some of the best anime directors, and they were able to consistently pump out bangers. They made a ton of insanely high quality projects like Perfect Blue, Death Note, One Punch Man, Hunter x Hunter,
The
and
good
even just
season.
recently
I haven't seen Perfect Blue.
Frieren. Unfortunately, in 2010, a big split happened between Madhouse, and they lost a lot of their core staff. In addition, Maruyama left to make Mappa, which really hurt Madhouse in the long run.
He's the GOAT? Is bro the GOAT?
Their core staff. In addition, Maruyama left to make Mappa.
He left and made Mappa. So he made all of the Madhouse hits, or director, or was like the maker of it. And then he went on and made Mappa, which continued to make insane anime.
Really hurt Madhouse in the long run. We'll get to that later. But surprisingly, they seem to have rebuilt themselves, and it looks like they are still capable of pumping out amazing shows while still grabbing.
I don't know if Frieren did
industry
Madhouse.
memory, as shown with Frieren. And honestly, I doubt that fact will change in the future because of their legacy. However, just like other anime studios, Madhouse has had problems with overworking their employees. In 2019, a production assistant said that he worked over 393 hours in a single month.
Chat. How many work hours are in a month? 40 times 4. He worked over double. He was working over 8 hours he was working on average 13 hours a day. Every day. Brother, they got slavery going on in Japan. That's exaggeration. That's an insane. Like that is like that, and it's like you have to work that. So it feels you're like compelled to work 13 hours a day. No wonder Isekai got that.
That's f***ing insane. And he ended up joining a union to actually sue Madhouse for the overtime.
Oh my God. Hospitalized. As well, he's seeking in a compensation as for unpaid. He didn't even get fucking paid.
Hey, are you fucking kidding me? Roger, Roger. You damn Troy and Star Wars get treated better than that.
And as well as an apology for the various forms of power harassment. The Japanese government's proposed limit for overtime per month is 100 hours. That would put him at 260 hours, right? Because it'd be 100 plus.
Studio Ghibli is probably the most widely recognized anime studio in the world, and that's for good reason. Only 2 anime movies
I need to watch Ghibli movies, bro. I need to go on a Ghibli movie binge. I haven't seen many of
won
them.
Oscars, and both belong to Spirited Away and The Boy and the Heron, respectively. In 1985, Miyazaki and Takahata broke off from Toei Animation to form Ghibli,
See you later, alligator.
along with Toshio Suzuki.
Oh,
In 1985,
they came off
Miyazaki
of
and Takahata
Toei.
broke off from Toei Animation to form Ghibli, along with Toshio Suzuki. It's worth noting that Hayao Miyazaki is pretty much the face of Studio Ghibli. Every work with his name attached seems to garner a ton more attention.
Every time I see a quote of him, it's always like some depressing shit.
So, if you're wondering why a lot of his movies feature airplanes and casualties of war, his brother's company actually manufactured rudders for planes in World War II. Kind of explains why The Wind Rises was made. After writing his
Jesus.
breakthrough manga, Nazca of the Valley of the Wind, he ended up directing Ghibli's first ever movie, an adaptation of that same manga.
Oh, he
It was
wrote
a
that.
hit, The Valley of the Wind. He ended up directing Ghibli's first ever
Interesting.
movie, an adaptation of that same manga, and it was a huge success, and this kickstarted the studio's legacy. Ghibli in general is known for their high-quality animation, background art, and extremely memorable music by Joe Hisaishi. Ghibli films are mostly hand-drawn, using watercolor and acrylic paints, and most of their movies use traditional animation methods.
Hand drawn.
On and colored by hand. Because of this, their movies give off almost a cozy European vibe that have a lot of emphasis on the nature and backgrounds in each scene. I mean, seriously, look at the backgrounds in Ghibli films. They look amazing. People
Damn, you can really see the difference.
usually regard Spirited Away or Totoro as their best work, as they have the most critical acclaim and popularity. Personally, I think Howl's Moving Castle, Grave of the Fireflies, and Princess Mononoke are their best works. Wood Studio is a
I haven't
new
seen
studio
hardly any of
founded
those.
in 2012 by Production IG. The studio was essentially created for their first project, Attack on Titan. Yes, literally one of the best
Bruh.
anime of all time was Wood Studio's first project.
Holy
And they were
shit,
also
they did
responsible
such a
for some of
good
the biggest
job.
Anime like Spy Family and Vinland Saga's first season. Wood Studio is known for their amazing action sequences with dynamic camera angles, and a lot of this can be attributed to Tetsuo Araki. The action and pacing he gave to Attack on Titan's first few seasons has created some of the best action sequences I've ever seen.
For
They've also
real, me
reportedly
too.
Started work on a One Piece reboot, which is low-key crazy considering One Piece hasn't even finished, but whatever. On
Let's
one hand, it's insane to
go.
think that they are working on so many projects, but on the other hand, this is the anime industry, so we can imagine what these animators are actually going through. And in 2015, an interview was done with Naganuma, a staff member at Studio Wit. When they asked about his experience, he said, "It's a battlefield. Basically, what you see on Attack on Titan is what I see at Studio Wit. One comrade falls after another."
Oh my god!
What is going on at
They're
Studio Wit?
dropping like
Apparently,
flies!
the default lunch of Studio Wit members is energy bars, and they
Like,
all
I-
magically revive after eating one and then go back to work.
Oh my god. I'm just imagining the Death Note scene where he's like riding super hard, and then like, but the guy who's riding just, and then somebody like drags him away, and somebody else comes with a brand new energy bar and keeps riding until they fucking die, bro. Like, holy shit. Give these motherfuckers some tuna, bruh. Give them some sushi. You're Japan. Why are you giving them energy
I
bars?
hope they're exaggerating because that sounds pretty horrible.
That's
not gonna lie.
crazy.
Sunrise Studio was founded in 1972 and revolutionized how anime was made. Instead of having a production revolve around a single person, they created the role of producers who invested in anime together to mitigate risk. This helped them create many
Producers.
classics like Cowboy Bebop, Pat Labor, Code Geass, and
I
of
didn't know the
course,
word producer just meant that you give the money.
mitigate risk. This helped them create many classics like Cowboy
Is that
Bebop.
how it is for like, if you hear somebody's a producer in America, like an American movie, does that mean they just funded it?
Pat Labor, Code Geass, and of course,
Yes?
the Gundam series.
Oh.
They've also formally been renamed to Bandai Namco Filmworks, but I'm gonna keep calling them Sunrise. As a studio, they're well known
Bandai.
for Gundam series. They've also formally been renamed to Bandai Namco Filmworks,
Oh.
but I'm gonna keep calling them Sunrise. As a studio, they're well known for their fluid animation sequences, which gave them the nickname Sunrise Smooth. Honestly, fire cocktail. Like Toei, because they are so big,
Sunrise
they have a ton
Smooth.
of smaller teams simultaneously working on their projects. And because of that, it's also a mixed bag. Sunrise as a studio is hugely influential. I mean, just take a look at how popular Gundam as a series is. A lot of that can be attributed to Sunrise's great anime adaptations of the franchise. In addition, they produce a ton of great classics.
I've never seen
and have the
Gundam.
name recognition to pull in industry veterans. And that's not the
Blue
only genre
Lock's
that
part
they
of it.
revolutionized. Love Live was created by Sunrise Studio as well, and has pretty much made anime idol girls that much more popular. And in terms of working conditions, it seems that Sunrise is pretty good and treats their full-time employees well. Studio Gainax was founded in 1984
Hey, let's go!
and used to be considered the GOAT of anime studios. Their first big commercial success is considered to be Gunbuster, which
They
is
used to
still
be the
a
GOAT.
widely influential anime, but they would end up making something that was even greater. One of these university students who founded Studio Gainax was named Hideki Anno, and he would head Neon Genesis Evangelion. This is
I
one
was
of the
about to
most
say.
influential anime of all time. and is
Holy
widely considered to be the studio's
shit.
best and most popular work, and it allowed the studio to keep making great projects. Shows like Karekano, Fully Cool,
Chat, I still gotta finish the movies.
are results of these,
For
and
those.
arguably some of the best anime to ever be created. my opinion. The reason Gainax shows are so good is because they're so creative. And a part of this idea is something called the Gainax ending, where a Gainax show will end kind of unexpectedly or
The
weirdly.
Gainax
Either this is
ending.
done out of an artistic or creative decision,
It's cool how like studios have like their thing a lot of
or
times.
sometimes it's just done to meet deadlines.
Gainax
But the
ending.
Gainax ending is known in the anime community as kind of a staple of the studio. But unfortunately, Gainax didn't last forever. Studio Trigger was founded
Rip.
by former Gainax staff members Hideyoko Imashi and Masaki
Ooh, I like seeing the way they branch off.
Suka in 2011, and it definitely feels like it's
I mean,
carried on that
Cyberpunk.
creative spirit that Gainax had. They immediately came out swinging with series like Kill la Kill and movies like Little Witch Academia.
Oh.
Gurren Lagann, one of Gainax's later works, definitely served as the core inspiration for a lot
Gurren
of Trigger's
Lagann?
early works. Trigger is also known for their crazy plot lines and fluid visuals, both of which
Oh,
complement each other perfectly. The short-
Trigger! Oh my god, I know of them. I'm like, wait, Kill a Kill, Gurren Lagann. Trigger, yeah. It's just weird seeing. It's weird seeing.
Movies like
it.
Little
I know
Witch
Trigger.
Academia. Gurren Lagann, one of Gainax's later works, definitely served as the core inspiration for a lot of Trigger's early works. Trigger is also known for their crazy plot lines and fluid visuals, both of which complement each other perfectly. Their storytelling is often chaotic and comedic at the same time, which
Yeah,
helps
they
with
gotta-
exaggerated animations. and that much more. If you want a good example of some
The
of the recent works,
plot, dude. Kill a Kill was crazy.
Cyberpunk Edge Runners was absolutely amazing, and Dungeon Meshi is looking to be a more grounded but still action-packed Trigger show. Mappa is one of the most well-known animation studios today for their amazing work on shows like Jujutsu Kaisen. They're founded in 2011 by seasoned anime producer
Mappa, the GOAT at mistreating their employees, but also
Well-known
bringing us
anime-
bangers. I'm sorry.
Studios today
Both are
for their
true.
amazing work on shows like Jujutsu Kaisen.
What the? You are my special.
They were founded in 2011 by seasoned anime producer Masayo Maruyama after he left Madhouse. Due to his connections, Mappa was immediately interconnected with the anime industry. But in 2016, Maruyama left and was replaced by Manabu Utsuoka, which resulted in huge changes to the company's culture and
Oh.
goals. Mappa as a studio now more has a reputation of being very reckless. They've grown extremely
Oh.
fast due to taking on a bunch of projects and still being able to deliver quality animation. But of course, we talk about anime, we have to talk about their work practices and how they get that quality animation in the first place. Everything from the scheduling, the work hours, and even the culture has been criticized at Mappa. This
Aw,
became a trending
shit.
topic during Jujutsu Kaisen's second season. Animators on Twitter revealed that their time at Mappa was horrible. One person who worked on the final part of Attack on
Let's read some of these. Mappa has just made the Jujutsu Kaisen staff sign a confidentiality contract so that they do not express complaints. Instead of making people write a pledge to avoid complaints, could you please create an environment where they won't complain? Valid. I have nothing to lose, so if you're gonna sue me for complaining, I'll take it. So Otsuka's the reason the environment is like this? Everyone is not trash like me, so I know that everyone's sympathy and encouragement must be from the bottom of my heart. But right after releasing something that I'm not satisfied with, that kind of thing will have the opposite effect. So for now, I want you to leave me alone. I'll make up for it in my future work. Until then, I will live my life as the worst animator who has ruined a masterpiece. That is so heartbreaking, bro. That is so sad.
Titan said that they finally got to go home after 3 days. Like, Mappa, what are you doing to the anime?
3 days!
Let them out, please. Unfortunately, Mappa has zero to little reason to stop their practices because the properties that they're adapting are some of the biggest in the world, like Vinland Saga Season 2, Chainsaw Man, and Attack on Titan. They also have a ton of connections within the industry, and that's why they're able to get so many talented animators in their studio despite the horrible pay and working conditions. I only hope they can get better because Mappa is truly working these animators into the ground.
That
Kyoto
is so
Animation,
fucking
also known
terrible.
as KyoAni, is very different from Mappa, and it's considered to be the gold standard of
Kyoto Annie! Man.
workplace culture for anime studios. Founded in the city of Kyoto
What happened to them was terrible.
in 1985, the married couple Yoko and Hideki Hata have, in my research, always fostered a great work culture. And unlike other studios, KyoAni employees are salaried and not freelancers. In addition, they even have training programs for young animators to work underneath supervisors and learn throughout their career. You might be surprised to hear that most animators aren't even technically full-time employees, but yeah, that is the industry
Wow.
standard. But KyoAni is very different. They have full-time employees that even get benefits like maternity leave, which is insanely good and almost unheard of in the anime industry. Now, why are they able to
Chat,
go
it's my dream to make an anime studio with amazing work conditions.
all of this? Well,
I've had this dream
usually
for a long time.
anime studios make very little money, even if their anime does really well.
And also, of course, amazing anime
The reason for this is
that
that
I
anime
want to make.
Studios don't really fund anime themselves, production committees do. Depending on the studio and the amount of producers involved, the amount of money that the studio actually sees after anime can be pretty variable. Mappa, for example, doesn't usually keep a large slice of the pie. KyoAni, on the other hand, he has a huge slice when they produce anime. But why is there a difference? The reason is very unique to KyoAni. In 2009, they started hosting the annual Kyoto Animation Awards in 3 categories: original novels, manga, and scenarios. And a lot of their biggest work have come from these contests. The most notable ones being Chunibyo or Violet Evergarden or even Free.
Damn,
The anime
those are
doesn't
all
do
really
amazing,
big.
they still make a majority of the revenue from that anime because they are licensing those projects. And because KyoAni doesn't have this pressure of external producers, they can also take way longer to work on their anime. That's why when you watch our shows like Violet Evergarden or Hibiki Euphonium, you can see the love.
Make a good Berserk adaptation. My life is yours. Berserk, Tokyo Ghoul, Vagabond.
I'm
I'ma buy 'em all.
Look at this animation. This is some of the best animation that the medium has to offer, and all the employees were treated fairly. It's the best.
Once
ever
I have
world.
$1 grillion, of course.
Their work culture and business model has been very successful, and I hope the best for them, and I hope more anime studios start to move in this direction. And they're also known for making people cry. I mean, if you watch Clannad or Canon, you know that shit makes you cry, man. A1 Pictures was created by a former Sunrise staff producer in 2005, and they're pretty interesting because their works are very variable in terms of animation quality. Usually depends
Wait,
on the
A1?
project, and they're pretty interesting. It makes you cry, man. A1 Pictures was created by a former Sunrise staff producer in 2005, and they're pretty interesting because their works are very variable in terms of animation quality. Usually
True. Sometimes A1 is
depends
good.
on if the project has the budget.
Sometimes
and
it's
the production
bad.
schedule itself is good, but they are well known in the anime community for consistently releasing a ton of anime, more specifically light novel adaptations. A lot of these don't really hold up in the long term, although this is not to say that they never release good looking shows. You know, Sword Art Online, Solo Leveling, and Kaguya-sama all look really good, but at the same time
Jeez.
the releases include Arrow Manga Sensei, which is like Also, in
Oh.
2018, a section of A1 Pictures broke off into Clover Works Studios, which is still managed by the same Aniplex parent company, which
Oh.
tends to have a much higher benchmark of animation quality.
I know
within their
Clover
shows.
Works.
It's also worth noting that
I know
A1
of them.
Pictures has a pretty bad reputation of overworking their employees. In 2014,
Yikes.
a 28-year-old employee at A1 Pictures worked over 600 hours a month for 3 years and ended up committing suicide. This has
What?
600 hours of reputation of overworking their employees. In 2014, a 28-year-old employee at A1 Pictures worked over 600 hours a month.
How many hours are in a month? There's only 720 hours in a month. I'm going to calculate how much sleep he got a day because that is easier than calculating how much he worked a day. He got 4 hours of sleep. He was working 16-hour days every day until he killed himself. No, 20 hours a day.
Working their employees. In 2014, a 28-year-old employee at A1 Pictures worked over 600 hours a month for 3 years and ended up
What the fuck? No way. That could be legal. That's allowed.
forever stained their reputation. Shame on you, A1 Pictures. Sign Saru was founded in 2013.
Oh my god. For how long?
Year-old employee at A1 Pictures worked over 600 hours a month for 3 years and ended
3 years. 3 years.
up committing suicide. This has forever stained their reputation. Shame on you, A1 Pictures. Sign Saru was founded in 2013.
For 3 years? For 3
Famous
years.
anime director Masaki Yuasa and animator Eun Choi, who had a long history with Yuasa. Their first work at the studio was actually an episode of
That is unbelievable.
Adventure Time, but their first series was Ping Pong the Animation. In addition, they don't really care about the nationality of their employees, instead choose them based on their skill. This means that
That's fire.
Science Saru employees aren't even Japanese. As a studio, Science Saru is known for being out of the box. They experiment with really insane color palettes and are not afraid to push the envelope with series like Devilman Crybaby, which has tons of
Oh, that
gore,
was
insane sex scenes, and
strange.
a whole lot more that I can't show. A lot of their weird energy does come from Masaki Yuasa, but Science Saru recently released Scott Pilgrim Takes Off, which is just as weird despite not being directed by Yuasa at all. If you want some more Science Saru recommendations, I would highly recommend Devilman Crybaby, Ping Pong the Animation, and Keep Your Hands Up Heisuten. Also, watch out for Dandadan, which is coming out soon and is aimed by Science Saru. I'm really
That makes so much sense.
Ping Pong the
Don
Animation.
to
and Keep Your Hands Up
Don.
Heisuten.
I've seen some of the ping pong animation because somebody recommended it to me. And I've seen, okay, I got so unfortunately spoiled with Devilman because, so it came out in 2018. So I watched it, I stayed over with a couple friends. And we were watching all of it. And I fell asleep on the first episode and I woke up at the ending. So I literally missed the entire thing. And if you know Devilman Crybaby's ending, you know that is like the worst thing to be spoiled on ever. That was the worst shit that happened to me
Also,
ever
watch out for
with
Dante,
anime.
which is coming out soon and is anime by Science Sorrow. I'm really excited for this one. Studio Shaft was founded in 1965
Shaft.
and are known for their experimental visual styles. Some popular example of Shaft anime are Madoka Magica or the Monogatari series. You can immediately tell that you're watching a Studio Shaft production due to the work of directors
Oh,
Akiyuki
yeah.
Shimbo, Shino Numa, and
They gotta
Tatsuya
look to
Oshii,
them.
who
It's
formed
so
what is known
interesting how like I thought different animes had like such a unique look, but like were kind of similar, and then finding out, oh, they're animated by the same people.
as Team Shinbo. This Team Shinbo led to very distinct stylistic ideals with whatever project that they were working on. Sometimes they would use sharp color contrast, high-paced jump cuts, and even place real-world objects within the animation itself. All of this gives Studio Shaft anime a really
It's so
realist
strange.
feeling, which I think is super cool. The Monogatari series also features iconic moments like the Shaft head tilt, which is actually confirmed by Team Shinbo to be a Studio Shaft staple. Although Shaft has lost a lot of their core staff over time, including the disbandment of Team Shinbo, they still produce staple. Although Shaft
The Studio Shaft staple.
has lost a lot of their core staff over time, including the disbandment of Team Shinbo, they still produce popular shows like March Comes in the Lion, Quintessential Quintuplets. Ufotable was founded in 2000 by Hikaru Kono
Ufotable.
after he split from Telecom Animation Film.
They got
They're
some
well known for their strong relationship with the
crazy
game company
anime.
Type Moon, and they've adapted a ton of their games, like the Fate series and Garden of Sinners, as well as working with them to create animations for their in-game cutscenes. Ufotable is most notable for their incredibly vibrant and colorful animation. As I'm sure many of you have seen with Demon Slayer, arguably Ufotable is the best studio in the industry at combining 3D computer graphics with traditional 2D sakuga. Like KyoAni, Ufotable hires a lot of their employees full-time and is regarded as one of the better animation companies to work for. I'm not really sure where they're getting all that money from, but wait a second, they committed tax fraud? Yeah, this is something that I actually didn't know about until
Ufotable, you sir, you fellas have increased on the ranking totem pole. You were already high up there, but hell yeah, brother.
video, but apparently Hikaru Kondo refused to pay around $4 million in taxes, and also the Japanese government made a report noting that Ufotable was suspected of
Oh wait,
misappropriating funds from a charity auction for the 2011 Tohoku earthquake. They never ended up
what?
filing charges, but Kondo resigned, and because of this, he is now facing up to 20 months in prison. Top move, if you ask me. Studio charges
What
was
the
suspected of
fuck? That's the
misappropriating $4 million
craziest.
in taxes,
That's the
and also
craziest Ufotable lore I had done never expected. What the fuck? That is so funny. I was laughing when it was tax invasion, but he took charity funds, bro. Charity funds for an earthquake.
that I actually didn't know about until I made this video, but apparently Hikaru Kondo refused to pay around $4 million in taxes, and also the Japanese government made a report noting that Ufotable was suspected of misappropriating funds from a charity auction for the
How much
2011
did he
Tohoku
steal?
earthquake. They never ended up filing charges, but Kondo resigned, and because of this, he
Gotta get their animation budget from somewhere.
is now
That's
facing
very
up to 20 months
true.
in prison. Top G move, if you ask me. Studio Bones was founded in 1988
Boner.
by former Sunrise staff members who were bored on working in mecha anime and wanted to try more creative projects. Studio Bones is most well
more
known for
mecha.
their insanely well executed fight and action sequences. In
Yeah.
fact, you could argue that they have some
Oh,
of the
yeah.
best 2D sakuga in the industry right now. A huge
Holy
reason they're known for this
shit.
is because of Yutaka Nakamura, known as one of the goats in animation. He's popularized techniques like the Yutapon cube, which is where
I was about to say, I think he's the one that did the cube.
debris forms cubes to show the destruction. You can see the influence of Yutapon cubes across the industry.
Love
Even
that.
in The Legend of Korra, I've seen Yutapon cubes made for debris. And even now, Nakamura continues to innovate at Bones. Because of this, they've created some absolute...
Was he the one who started with Naruto Shippuden?
Full Metal Alchemist series, Mob Psycho 100, or in High School Host Club, My Hero Academia, I mean much more. Just go through Bones' catalog. It is impeccable. Studio Orange
With
was
Pain?
founded by 3D CG animator Eiji Inomoto in 2004. Who's
Orange.
well known for his works on Ghost in the Shell and Zoids, specifically the 3D animation part. The studio mainly did outsource 3D animation until 2013, when they started doing co-production with other studios to make shows like Black Bullet. But then Orange started making completely new anime, with shows like Land of the Lustrous being met with great critical reception for actually having good CG. Studio Orange is so unique in their
Jeez.
approach to 3D animation that I can genuinely tell that they understand the strengths of CG and how to play into them. Usually in 2D anime, CG is just kind of thrown in there when an object is
Yeah,
difficult to
that
animate,
3D
and
looked
it doesn't
good.
usually blend all that well. Meanwhile, Studio Orange makes sure
Trigun
that all
Stampede was
their
fire. I got check that
models
out
feel
still.
like they are genuinely alive instead of just stiff figurines. The character expressions
Ooh.
genuinely feel magical and alive, almost Disney-like, but with that anime touch. And this is because they don't shy away from using 2D animation to first sketch out what the facial expressions might look like. Using both mediums like this results in a product that is greater
that is
than
a
the sum
ton
its
of
parts.
work,
And you can see
though.
this clearly in their newest series, Trigun Stampede.
That
In
is an
fact,
absolute ton of work.
just facial expressions and movements just feel so fluid and alive. I genuinely love them. Their 3D animation doesn't make me gross out or wish that the studio had more budget to just make it 2D instead, because the anime genuinely looks better in 3D, and I think it's a sign of more 3D animation to come. Before I end this video, I want to let you all know that I stream on Twitch a lot. Check out my Twitter for updates on Mushi Production.
Part
was
2.
founded in 1961 by ex-Toei employee and legendary godfather of manga
Mushi.
Osamu Tezuka. They were pioneers of anime and revolutionized the medium as a whole. And the reason that Mushi Pro was even made in the first place was because Tezuka didn't enjoy his time at Toei. So he basically got a bunch of animators from Toei and was like, yo, I'll pay you double the salary if you join me. And the rest is history. The studio adapted
literal
a ton of
coup.
Tezuka's manga series, like Astro Boy, Ashita no Joe, and Dororo. The studio was so prolific that they even worked
I
on
haven't seen any of these.
overseas projects like the original 1969 Frosty the Snowman Christmas special. It's hard to overstate just how much Mushi Pro
I have seen that.
really was the GOAT in their prime, and it was because they were exclusively hiring the best of the best. Apparently their interview process was so difficult that some of the best anime directors like Osamu Tezuka almost failed the test. In the late 60s to early 70s, Mushi Pro was beginning their downward slip into bankruptcy. This actually would cause them to create some of their more interesting adult-oriented works like 1001 Nights or Cleopatra, both of which I can't show much
Damn. I mean,
of. Like, look at this poster of Cleopatra. Yeah. Unfortunately, these attempts to pivot into the adult animation market didn't really work, and the studio disbanded. A lot of the staff ended up creating other studios like Sunrise, Madhouse, and Kyo Annie. It's hard to really.
Jeez, that's crazy. And then people from Sunrise made other studios. Then Madhouse made Mappa and other studios. And Kyoto is Kyoto.
How many important people were in this one animation studio. But if
Jesus.
you want to check out some of Mushi Pro's work, I've been told Ashita no Joe is really good. And if you want something completely different, check out Belladonna of Sadness. I mean, it is easily one of the most surrealist anime I've ever seen. Like, what am I watching here? White
Holy
Fox was founded in
shit.
2007. By
Wait, which
former
one?
One of the most really good. And if you want something completely different, check out Belladonna of Sadness. I mean,
Belladonna Sadness.
it is easily one of the most surrealist anime I've ever seen. Like,
This
what
video is
am
like
I
the
watching
anime studio family tree. Yeah, it is.
here? White Fox was founded in 2007 by former OLM staff member Gakko Iwasa and other employees. They are well known for adapting popular games and light novels into anime, which their first work, Tears of Tiara, was. Their second ever work was Katana Gatari, which to this day
What?
is some of the most out there art style I've
What?
ever seen. And then they released Steins Gate, which is still considered to this day to be one of the best sci-fi time travel stories. Nowadays, they're mainly known
Jeez.
for their work on ReZero, which has some really great
ReZero!
animated sequences,
I
particularly
gotta
episode
watch
18.
Steins Gate
This
too.
is a weird episode because it's literally just two people talking, but White Fox did such a good job making this episode one of the best.
I remember
Shout
this
out to
episode.
Episode director Kazumo Koga for elevating the scene from just two people talking into a super emotional climax. Now, they're an incredibly small studio at only 46 employees, which probably does mean that they outsource a lot of their work, but it is still impressive that they managed to create such big IPs with such a small team. And in 2018, they ended up founding a new studio with the help of Egg Firm, which I'll get to later.
Jeez, they found
Production
Mushoku
was founded by
Tensei.
former Gonzo producers Koji Kajita and Taiko
Did they make
Okita. They also
JoJo?
got a ton
Hey,
of studio
David
staff.
Production, their sound design for JoJo, and I think they did Fire Force
Veterans to
2.
join
Oh
their
my
studio, and you
god.
can see the work shine on Fire Force and JoJo's. They are a comparatively smaller
Yep.
studio, and their name is literally a reference to David and Goliath. The studio itself
David
is
and
well
Goliath.
known for being super creative in its art palettes and ideas, and this has greatly helped influence their ultra popular
JoJo
adaptation
is
of
such
the
a
JoJo
well done anime. JoJo is an amazing anime
Bizarre Adventure manga
adaptation.
franchise. I'm sure you've seen and heard all the JoJo memes that have come out of the anime series. In an interview with the co-director of almost every part of JoJo's, Naokatsu Suda, he actually explains
finish
that
Hell's
the
Paradise? I
memeability
did.
of the series was intentional. The JoJo graphic novels over
Wait,
the
what?
years seen and heard all the JoJo memes that have come out of the anime series. In an interview with the co-director of almost every part of JoJo's, Naokatsu Suda, he actually explains that the memeability of the series was intentional. The JoJo graphic novels over the years
Really?
have become something of an internet meme, or at least they are the source of a lot of internet memes. One thing we can do today that would have been possible 20 years ago is pick up on the established memes and see how we can pull those into the anime. In fact, that was fully intended. We wanted to make a show where a fan could watch the animated episode and then go back to the graphical novel and see their idea of JoJo was faithfully animated. Honestly, such goat behavior.
That
This
is
easily
goat.
their biggest work and a great reminder of the
That is go
creativity
behavior.
and passion that the studio has. If you want recommendations of other good shows they've done, Cells at Work and Undead Unluck are really fun. You know what's also fun? The subscribe button.
The unfortunate part about Undead Unluck is it's
Of other good shows they've
Locked,
done.
right? Or
Cells at
something?
Work and Undead Unluck are really fun. You know what's also fun? The subscribe button. Hey look, it's glowing for Pride Month. Studio Dean was founded in 1975 by former Sunrise producer Hiroshi Hasegawa along with other Sunrise animators. Back in the day, Studio
Wait,
Dean
what?
had a five by former Sunrise producer Hiroshi Hasegawa along with other Sunrise animators. Back in the day, Studio Dean had a really good reputation and was making some of the most iconic anime. Ranma One Half, Fruits Basket, and Higurashi are still talked about to this day. But nowadays, Studio Dean has a
Jeez.
pretty bad reputation, and that is
Oh.
mostly due to their poor handling of the Seven Deadly Sins Season 3. This season is infamous.
they're the reason. They're the reason. Wait, They did that to 7 Deadly Frames?
They're having some of the most piss poor animation ever. I'm not even a 7 Deadly Sins fan, and I still feel disappointed just looking at this. The most hype up fight was completely botched, and since the first 2 seasons had pretty good animation by A1 Pictures, it kind of felt like it was all Dean's fault that this just looked like ass. But was this really the case?
Oh.
Well, apparently, Aniplex, A1's parent company, was ordered to make a season 3 pretty soon after the movie came out by Netflix, which had just flopped. Since A1 Pictures was making way more money with SAO and Fate Grand Order, they didn't feel the need to make another season. So Aniplex asked Studio Dean to take on the project, and I'm assuming this resulted in a rushed schedule. Unfortunately, that just seems to be the norm with a lot of anime nowadays. Studios just bite off more than they can actually chew. If you watch Dean's other work, like Konosuba, you'll see that they can still make shows with great.
Oh, they made
animation
Konosuba.
but
That
it's
should look
definitely a
amazing.
mixed bag. JC Staff was founded in 1986 by Tomoyuki Miyata, and they've unfortunately been branded as a sort of budget anime studio just like Dean. The main reason for this was the release of One Punch Man Season 2. Now, look, don't get me wrong, I still enjoyed Season 2's story. I even think it has some good scenes in general. But director Shingo Natsume's ability to attract industry veterans like Yutaka Nakamura was what made Season 1 so good. And when you have to fill up one of the best animators and just an all-around insane team of animation veterans, it is easy to fall short.
Well,
Also
you
to be a bit of an asshole.
tried.
It's not a secret that a lot of JC Staff anime just have pretty bad animation quality in general. In fact, I would say One Punch Man Season 2 and Food Wars are probably some of their best works. And although Psyche K is funny as hell, let's be honest, the animation, this is actually the definition of mid. I mean, probably even below mid. The show is good, but it's definitely not because of the animation.
I haven't seen Psychic K, but
Way of the House Husband, another example. It's literally just colored manga panels. And maybe for some people it looks good and it's fun to watch, but for me there's not enough motion. And I'm not
yeah,
saying
what
this
is
fault
that?
of people.
I saw that on Netflix. And I was like, I ain't watching that shit, bruh. I'll read a damn manga if I'm trying to see damn pictures move around. I'll flip the page.
Who work there, tons of them are probably talented.
It's Kaito,
but
though.
clearly there's a reason that JC is taking so many shortcuts, and it's probably because they keep making like 3 shows in a single season. Obviously, not all of them can look good when their time and money is split up among so many different projects. Like in summer 2023, just last year, they released 5 shows in the same season.
Jesus. Like, damn, bro.
That's insane. Again,
Chill
I don't want
out.
to stereotype all of JC Staff as being bad because it does depend on the people who are working on the project itself. It's not like they've never made amazing shows. Some of their best includes like Revolutionary Girl, Utena, Azuma Godayo, Karekano, which they made with Gainax, which I talked about in my previous anime studio video. And then later in the 2000s, they were some of the first to start adapting Kadokawa light novels like Familiar of Zero and Railgun, both of which are really great. But let's be honest, overall, JC Staff does have a pretty bad stereotype, and the glove seems to fit. Studio Man Globe was founded in 2002 by former
Was
JC
that-
Staff does have a pretty bad stereotype, and the glove.
Oh my God. Isn't that like Drake's dad's kit or something? Like all his shit?
Seems to fit. Studio Man Globe was founded in 2002 by former Sunrise producers Shinichiro Kobayashi and Takashi Kochiyama. They started off with a bang, releasing Samurai Champloo in 2004 as their first ever.
I heard Samurai
Now, let me
Champloo's
ask you a
loaded.
question. What happens when you mix the amazing director of Cowboy Bebop, Shinichiro Watanabe, and the literal godfather of lo-fi hip-hop and musical icon Nujabes to make an anime? Well, you get fucking perfection. Okay? If you
Damn!
haven't watched Samurai Champloo, go grab yourself a magic brownie and sit your ass on the
A
couch. Okay? It
magic
is
brownie.
Nirvana. Manglobe is known for the amount
Wait.
of creative a magic brownie and sit your ass on the couch. Okay, it is Nirvana. Manglobe is known for the amount of creative
What
freedom
is
that they gave their
this?
directors. Samurai Champloo, Ergo Proxy, these are great
That's
examples.
Samurai Champloo? Dude. Dude. I have so many things I need to fucking watch.
What was accomplished with this freedom. They've also adapted a few manga series like Dead Man Wonderland and The World Only God Knows. which
I
is
love Dead Man Wonderland, and that was so sad when when I looked up, when will Dead Man Wonderland Season 2 come out? And it was like, yeah, the manga ended.
the best harem anime of
It
all
got
time.
canceled.
But unfortunately, this studio
Or no,
didn't last
I think the mangaka died.
forever. They accumulated
Or
an
is that High School of the Dead? Oh, it's because Manglobe filed for bankruptcy. That's what happened. I got spoiled on this video.
insane amount of debt totaling up to 350 million yen, which accounting for inflation today is around $3 million. This broke
Goddamn.
the company and they ended up declaring bankruptcy in 2015. I wish I knew exactly why this happened, but there
No.
is a surprising lack of information on the topic and around this studio in general. My best guess is that the 2008 global recession severely impacted them, and the fact that Samurai Champloo was one of their biggest works but still didn't do great for DVD sales probably hurt them in the long run. I mean, just looking at this list of most of their DVD sales, they're not that great. Also, I hope
Damn.
you're finally happy, dude. In the long run. I mean, just looking at this list of most of their DVD
That's
sales,
sad.
they're not that great. Also, I hope you're finally happy.
bro is out here. This guy was giving weekly requests.
Dude, Doga Kobo was founded by former Toei employees Hideo Furusawa and Megumi Ishiguro in 1973. Most of their earlier works were more on the moe side of anime, with shows like Umaru-chan and New Game, which, you know, one of these is definitely good anime. The other one, But nowadays, Doga Kobo is definitely more known for their recent
Oshinoko.
series, like Oshinoko, really showing the talent that they have. And you might be surprised to learn that the first season of Oshinoko was actually made on a pretty tight schedule. It really is a testament to the team.
Wow.
And especially series director Daisuke
That shit was
Miyazaki
amazing.
to inventively adapt the entire first volume into a single 90-minute episode instead of splitting it up into multiple 20-minute episodes. I think my favorite moment from the show has to come from Kenji Sawada, though, who did this brilliant scene where Ruby finally decides that she can dance too. And it's unsurprising because he's also worked on the key animation for big shows like Free Ren and Spy Family. Another star player is Kana Yayama, who's been at Doga Kobo for a while and whose intricate supervision of over 1,000 cuts alone as the chief animation director for the first episode made sure that she turned Ai into this captivating star for us to watch. Again, not surprising considering she's contributed heavily to shows like Bocchi Rock and Tokyo Ghoul. If you're looking to see more of her great work at Doga Kobo, then check out Selection Project. But in general, I would also recommend a lot of their older works like Nozaki-kun, Plastic Memories, and GJ Club. If you want something that just came out,
I love Plastic Memories.
Really good. Jellyfish Can't Swim is really, really good. And I'm super excited for the new Oshinoko season as well. Studio OLM, formerly known as Oriental Light and Magic, was founded in 1990 by 10 previous Studio Gallop and OB planning employees. Just like larger anime studios, OLM has many different departments that work on a ton of different shows, the most popular of which is easily the Pokemon anime series. And this is a difficult task because you have to consistently adapt and change your art style to match the setting to setting changes and keep up with the modern technology that animation is having. You can see this change most prominently from the Pokemon Season X and Y to Sun and Moon, where the art style just
that's a big
changed.
difference.
This actually caused a lot of backlash online for viewers because they were
No one would have hated Sun and Moon art style if Ash's design wasn't dog shit.
for viewers because they were used to seeing Ash in a certain way. But this more simple character design freed up the animation team to make even better looking action sequences. And even though they're most well known for Pokemon, they've made a ton of other anime, including like Beyblade, Komi-san, and Berserk. Yes, literally just a few months after they made the first season of Pokemon, OLM.
Yes, the best. What the fuck do these have in common?
It is the 1997 adaptation of Berserk. This is still regarded by a lot of manga fans to be the best adaptation of the work, but if you don't mind CG, the Golden Age movies aren't the worst either. OLM is such a huge studio at this point that they have a ton of different internal teams and multiple different subsidiary companies in other countries to outsource their work too. In fact, they're so big that I was actually able to find their company profile on Glassdoor, a website where people can rate companies and how good they are to work for.
Holy
let's put some of
shit.
these together. Good colleagues and seniors, chill environment. Okay, that's pretty cool. Overworked employees, poor work-life balance.
Oh.
The next one is as bad as Mappa, terrible working conditions, not hours,
fuck!
terrible
Didn't know that's bad.
HR, low pay, disrespectful employers, and those are just the pros. Surely one of them is deadline based, so you have absolutely no choice but to finish work even if it takes the whole night. No overtime pay, even though working past 9 p.m. almost every day. Worst overtime was until 2 days, more than 24 hours, and no extra pay whatsoever. And overtime past 2 a.m. happens every month. Toxic managers, guilt-tripping staff when you're unable to finish work or wanting to extend time feels inhumane. Your 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. is very rare, feels like it's impossible. Well, that's
9 to 6 is rare.
Kind of just depressing. Okay. Clover Works used to be a is very rare, feels like it's impossible. Well, that's
worst work-life balance, bad coordination by the company, quota base, so pressure is too much for staff, taking more work than the employee capacity, so often have help other staff with their work. We made complaints to HR, no major action was taken, majority are tied even if they don't want to admit. We are fed up, exhausted, cannot maintain this culture for long. You will lose more time training newbies as seniors are leaving.
That's kind of just depressing. Okay. Clover Works used to be a separate studio within their own studio in 2018. Clover Works is known for their character expressiveness and creative visuals in shows like Bocchi the Rock, Spy Family, and Whip Race, which just came out this spring season and has some of the best fight sequences I've ever seen. Most of their works are romances and slice of life shows with a heavy However, as with many amazing studios, from what I've heard, they have a pretty bad scheduling problem. In 2021, while Clover Works was getting a team ready for their 2022 lineup of anime, Chief Animation Director Kiminori Ito started posting Twitter complaints about the schedule, even going as far as to say, "It's too painful, death." This is someone who has worked on some of the biggest shows in the past.
Death.
Like Chainsaw Man and Gintama. And at Clover Works, he worked on Tokyo 24th Ward and Horimiya. Unfortunately, this kind of insane production schedule affects everyone in the anime studio, even as someone as talented and high up as Ito. Clover Works is also very well known for their massive fumbling of Promised Neverland Season 2.
Why the fuck did they do that?
Now, I'm gonna get a little speculative here and say that the reason the Promised Neverland Season 2 was so rushed and completely ruined the manga ending was because they were just too booked as a studio to keep making new seasons, or because they had an insanely tight production schedule that just didn't allow for more continuous seasons.
Just give it to
But
someone
that's
else,
just a theory.
man.
A Game Theory 8-Bit was founded in 2008 by former Satellite members and is now a subsidiary of Bandai Namco Filmworks, formerly known as Sunrise. They used to be known for working on all those old school battle harem shows like Infinite Stratos, which was their first work. If you were a horny middle school teenager in 2013 like I was, then you probably watched a lot of their shows. Nowadays, they are pretty much exclusively known for their work on That Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime and Blue Lock, which both have become super popular in their own right. 8-Bit is pretty well known to have decent animation sometimes, but usually is not the most consistent. When they spend the budget to make their big scenes hit, the show often looks great, even amazing at times. They also love using CGI because it is one of the studio's specialties, and this can be a good cost-saving measure if used properly, but can also be very jarring for a lot of viewers. But disregarding the CG moments, there's still like
Blue
a
Lock
lot
was
of times,
wild,
especially in Blue Lock, where characters will just be talking and things kind of look like off. And while the first few episodes start off super strong, towards the end of the show, things really start looking worse and worse.
Yeah, what
some
the
of these
fuck going on
proportions
there?
and shots just looking really weird. And as we've
Hey,
seen
season
time
2
and
looked
time
good though.
again, this is probably an issue related to the scheduling of the production itself. It's hard to emphasize just how important time, money, and talent all contribute to an anime success. However, I've been watching Slime Season 4, and so far the animation quality has been pretty decent. Hopefully 8-Bit gives the same amount of time for Blue Lock,
Let's look at this.
especially its U20 arc, to cook, because the manga they have to adapt is straight fire from here on out. PA Works was founded in 2000 by ex-Production IG member Kenji Horikawa. Apparently, when he first started the studio, he was broke, so he borrowed an abandoned hospital building and turned it into a studio, which that's actually kind of fire. They were
Oh
especially
my
popular
God,
in the
that's sick.
2010s with shows like Angel Beats, Charlotte, and another. Legendary composer and writer Jun Maeda also worked on a ton of PA Works.
That bro made an abandoned hospital his office and started putting in put in
making
work,
music and even
the grind.
screenwriting for Angel Beats and Charlotte. They seem to always deliver with consistent and great animation, and even to this day, they're continuing to make great shows like Skip and Loafer or Akiba Maid War. They have a very distinctive visual style that really emphasizes their amazing background art, and personally, I love it. They've also made some really insightful anime too, like Shirobako, which is literally about how anime is made, which if you're watching this might interest you. Ironically though, PA Works has had some PR problems related to employee dissatisfaction, but it's a little complicated, so I'm going to simplify it a bit. Traditionally, animation is first storyboarded, and then someone creates the keyframes of that animation. Then in-betweeners will go in to fill the motion between keyframes, creating the smooth sequence that we see as an animation. Since most animators only get paid per drawing and not per hour, this can lead to some less than ideal pay. And in-betweener for PA Works posted on Twitter they were getting paid a really poor wage, but it's not so much the case that PA Works pays poorly. In fact, they actually pay above the average compared to most animation studios. It's more of a problem that the industry as a whole is pretty broken and kind of screws over in-betweeners. These guys are basically the unsung heroes of the anime industry because on average they earn around 200 yen per drawing, which is less than $2. Sometimes these drawings can take up to an hour, but you still get paid the same amount.
$2 an hour?
Better than the industry standard at around 220 yen per drawing. That still kind of sucks. But it's important to understand that this isn't usually the fault of the animation studio itself. Here is a graph showing the annual profits of the anime industry. These small yellow bars represent the portion that the anime studios actually receive. Because these production committees are the ones funding anime and they hold the IP, anime studios don't see any of the money. The production committees do. And this leads to the lack of funds for a lot of animators, especially ones that are—
Bro. This is insane. All of the money is just going to the people who already got money in the first place, dude. The people who actually need the money to pay their animators ain't getting shit.
That are just starting out and are in-betweeners. But anyway, that's a whole nother discussion. My personal favorite PA Works anime has to be
They get
their
fucked
movie Mappa.
over.
It is genuinely one of the most underrated anime films of all time. Like, I'm gonna be real, I don't usually cry when watching anime or movies or anime movies, but for some reason, when I watch Machia, the waterworks, that shit went crazy. If you enjoy Teardroppers,
I thought that was
100%
Ghibli.
check that out. Production IG was founded in 1987 by Mitsushita Ishikawa and Takayuki Goto. IG has made some of the biggest and most influential anime of all time, and I think these amazing works are partly due to their founding ideals. Co-founder Ishikawa said in an interview that when I started IG in 1987, anime was thought as an extension of manga. Anime had no importance of its own. I wanted to make an anime feature film that stood on its own without manga. And if we're talking about IG, we have to talk about Mamoru Oshii, one of the best anime directors of our time. With his breakout movie Pat LaBelle, he immediately solidified himself as a big name in the industry, and then he directed Ghost in the Shell, which literally helped shape the genre of cyberpunk, serving as a core inspiration to dystopian movies like The Matrix. This movie was a global phenomenon and helped
I did not know Ghost in the Shell inspired The Matrix. Holy moly, that's crazy.
To the West. Not only that, in the last few years, IG has produced Haikyuu and single-handedly changed Japanese men's volleyball, as tons of people are now more interested in the sport. IG also owns Wit Studio as a subsidiary, which has produced popular shows like Attack on Titan and Vinland Saga Season 1. And recently, IG has taken on a more studio as a subsidiary, changed Japanese men's volleyball, as tons of people are now more interested in the sport. IG also owns Wit Studio as a subsidiary, which
it owns Wit.
produced popular shows like Attack on Titan,
I know
Vinland
that.
Saga Season 1. And recently, IG's taken on a more interesting role in the anime industry. Instead of subcontracting like most other studios, they started being a prime contractor and financing other anime productions. Studio Pito was
Thank
founded
God.
in 1972 by
I wish
Yuji
these
Nukawa,
studios would get more money.
and they are responsible for some of the biggest anime ever released. Their catalog includes shows like Naruto,
Oh,
Bleach,
yeah.
Black Clover, all of which are shonen mega hits in their own right. Their first ever project was an adaptation of The Wonderful Adventures of Nils, which is a Swedish novel. Interesting. But I would say their breakout hit was Urusei Yatsura, directed by Mamoru Oshii, of which they did the first 100 or so episodes. This anime was a pioneer in the romantic comedy genre, and then they released Yu Yu Hakusho a decade later, which to this day has one of the best tournament arcs of all time.
I don't know if
Hakusho
they
was
made
directed by
Yu Yu
Nobuko Abe,
Hakusho.
who is on an insane amount of projects at Pito. He also helped direct Tokyo Mew Mew, Great Teacher Onizuka, and Bleach. Because Pito is such a big studio, they have a ton of different teams. But if I'm going to shout out someone, I definitely want to shout out Hiroki Yamashita for doing such amazing work on both Naruto and Bleach Thousand Year Blood War, specifically episode 6, where he was involved in storyboarding, direction, and animation. And this shit looks
Oh
amazing.
my
Thankfully,
God,
it
he
also
was
looks-
responsible for that? Bro is goated. For Yamato
Thanks
versus
to Pito was trying
Yuhaba?
to improve their employee well-being and working conditions in the industry. The managing director of Pito, Kiyoto Itsumi, said that humans, not computers, create anime. So if these humans become exhausted, there's nothing we can do. Such a way of creating things is not sustainable in the long run. That's why, since I joined Pito, we've made significant revisions to salaries and even retroactively increased overtime pay by 20%. I believe we've dedicated to
Jeez.
improving working conditions. This is a great sign in the anime industry.
Hey! Good shit, Periot. Perio.
More studios follow in their footsteps. Studio Bind was founded in
That's good.
2019 as a joint venture. that
Finally, some studios giving their animators
Egg Firm
some
and
money.
White Fox. The studio was originally just made for Mushoku Tensei, but recently they made another show, Onimai, and are coming out with new shows in 2025. Apparently, Mushoku Tensei was greenlit all the way back in 2016, but because it had such a long pre-production process, probably because of the insane quality, it took a while for it to release. In fact,
Yeah.
the quality of season 1 was so good that
Mushoku
people are starting to
qualities.
question the currently airing season of Mushoku Tensei, as a lot of its core staff has since left the production. A lot of people are saying that it just doesn't look as good. However, I still think that Mushoku Tensei season 2
Season 2
has some
looked good.
great cuts, and that is of course due to the wonderful work of Kyukawa. Although he was simply a key
Kyukawa.
animator in the first season, he definitely had his hand in making some of the best moments in the show. With episode 22, he has just flexed his skills as an episode director for the first time, and Jesus Christ, what an amazing directorial
I need
debut.
to-
this
I
episode
need
has
to
some of
watch
the
season
best
2
action
now,
scenes I've ever
bruh.
seen, and the VFX
I stopped
the
on
team
episode
chose
9.
to
There's so
use
many
was
things I
really
need to
incredible.
watch. Fuck.
Kyukawa is a newer face in the industry, but just like Studio Bind,
Born in
I have high
1999?
hopes for their
Jeez.
future projects. Silverlink was founded in 2007 by Hayato Kaneko. Nowadays, most anime from them involve Aonuma as a director or co-director. They're well known for making slice of
Silverlink?
life shows like Nonon Biori and some of the Fate series spin-offs, or at least I think that's what this is. I'm gonna be honest, I know nothing about Fate, and I'm definitely not learning for this video. There's a ton of anime that are some of my personal favorites. I have fond memories of watching Baka and Test, Wadamode, and Kokoro Connect, which is still one of my favorite anime to this day. I mean, I fucking love Kokoro Connect,
I do
which is
too.
what makes this next part so sad. A big controversy at Silverlink was the fact that voice actor Mitsuhiro Ichiki was apparently tricked into auditioning for a role in the anime Kokoro Connect. This audition was set up by a producer of the show, and apparently the entire point of it was to make Ichiki say sus things that could be remixed into something weird out of context. Ichiki
Bro got bullied, trolled, and literally the spreading of
He then had
misinformation.
to sit through a PR event for the show where they played his out of context clips and revealed that he didn't even get the role because the role for this show never even existed.
They
I don't know what
fucking
kind of
trolled him. Everybody was just laughing at him.
twisted psychopath comes up with a plan like this, but once the story got out there was understandably a ton of outrage. People started boycotting the anime and the studio itself, and they eventually had to issue an official apology. It sucks because I really do love Kokoro Connect,
I do
especially
too.
since the show is literally about overcoming personal trauma with the help of your friends, which is what makes the situation all the more ironic. Silverlink also has the reputation of not having the greatest
That
animation.
is so. Why would you even do that to somebody, dude? Like that is bullying.
With shows like Death March really just being
That's
super
so
boring
sad.
and derivative, but they've also made good stuff like the aforementioned Kokoro Connect, Mitsuboshi Colors, and My Next Life as a Villainess. Anyway, I hope you all enjoyed this video. There's still a ton of anime studios I left out. Maybe I'll do another one if this reaches 10k likes. Anyway, peace.
Well, guess what? It reached 10k like. Is there part 3? This dude's videos are good. I like them. He has not made a part 3. Oh wait, no, he has. And every anime / studio. We already watched the first 2
Our
parts.
Gainax members Mahiro Maeda, Shinji Higuchi, Shoji Murahama, and Hiroshi Yamaguchi. Studio Gonzo is a pretty forgotten anime studio nowadays, but they made some absolute classics back in the 2000s, like the original Hellsing, Full Metal Panic, and Welcome to the NHK. However, I think my favorite anime from them has to be Afro Samurai, which, if you haven't watched, what are you doing? Studio Gonzo literally worked with Samuel L. Jackson and the Wu-Tang Clan to make arguably one of the most unique crossovers in anime history.
That's crazy.
Like many other anime studios, though, they've had their fair share of financial troubles, and they haven't released an anime since a Horimiya OVA in 2021. A lot of Studio Gonzo employees did end up leaving for Studio David, so I would consider them a spiritual successor in some sense. But it does seem that Gonzo is done making anime for now. We'll see. Brain's Base was founded in 1996 by former TMS member Juko Ozawa. They're most well known for creating some of the best anime in the 2010s, including My Teen Romantic Comedy Snafu, which personally
Bro,
is my
I love
favorite
that.
drama anime.
I love that one.
One of the biggest directors at the studio, and he's headed great anime like Baccano, Durarara, and Natsume's Book of Friends, which are all amazing and underrated anime in their own right. A few years ago, they also made To Your Eternity. But while Brain's Base is one of the most unique anime studios with their stories and adaptations, they usually aren't the most popular. The animation qualities usually looks pretty good. They are still making anime, but it seems that they are much more infrequent with their projects than they used to be. It is unfortunate, but a common trend in the current anime industry. TMS Entertainment was founded in 1946, originally as a knitting and textile company. Apparently, they merged with Tokyo movie Shinsha.
Knitting and
to start an
textile is
animation business and
crazy.
create TMS Entertainment. They've worked on some insanely big projects like Detective Conan and Fruits Basket. TMS is actually owned by Sega and is one of the biggest anime companies, which means their animation quality can be pretty inconsistent from time to time, but that doesn't mean that they don't make good stuff.
Owned by
Megalobox is
Sega?
one of the best sports anime according to people
Holy
that comment
shit.
on my videos. They've also made Dr. Stone and Rent a Girlfriend, which one of which is mid, and the other one, we don't talk about the other one. Shinsha Studio was founded by former
Oh
toy
my
director
God.
Dekichiro Kusada
Cut
in
Dr. Stone
1965
mid.
and is one of the most well-known in Japan for still producing episodes of Crayon Shinchan, an anime with over 1,245 episodes and
I would say that's crazy, but One Piece is almost there.
still counting. They've also made Doraemon, which isn't really the most popular anime in America, but I remember watching it with my cousins back in India all the time. Because they have such a steady anime production that's constantly paying the bills, they can release masterpieces like Dangers in My Heart, which was way more polished than I thought it would end up being. And season 2 of this show was actually my favorite anime of this year, so definitely check it out. Tatsunoko Production was founded in 1962 by Tatsuo Yoshida, Kenji Yoshida, and Ippei Kuri. This studio helped spawn a ton of huge anime studios like Toei Animation, Mushi Productions, and apparently the founder Yoshida preferred to keep his drawings more realistic in line with how muscles
Yo,
were shaped,
every,
and
like-
apparently the
So Tatsunoko spawned Toei, and Toei spawned like so many anime. I'd love to see a tree of all the a family tree of all the studios.
Prefer to keep
Toei is the grandfather, but Tatsunoko is the great grandpappy.
line with how muscles and skeletons actually looked instead of the more cartoonish style that Disney and Tezuka preferred at the time. This allowed Tatsunoko to have a much larger variety of styles of animation, but also got them close to bankruptcy many times.
Damn.
You might be wondering why I used Evangelion as the icon for them. Well, while doing research for this video, I discovered that Tatsunoko Productions actually did the majority of animation for Evangelion. Apparently, only 3 Gainax studio members actually helped on the original Evangelion anime, and the majority of the actual animation was done by Tatsunoko Productions. These guys are truly the unsung heroes of Eva.
They
Anyway, these guys
did
are absolute
all of
goats. They
Eva.
made amazing anime,
Wow.
like Ping Pong the Animation, the original Macross, and Psychopath Season 2. So definitely check those out. Studio Gohans was founded in 2008 by the former
Gohans.
Satellite Studio in Osaka. They basically just took over the office and made it Studio Gohans. They're well known for making anime that either look really interesting or really, really weird. Like the anime K, which actually looks pretty cool, has a unique shading and a lot of fun fight scenes. But then they also made Handshakers, which is genuinely just too overwhelming and janky looking in a ton of their shots.
What the
Suzuki
fuck?
is an important
What's
person in
that,
Gohans,
dude?
and since he's a very well-connected anime veteran, usually you can find some good cuts on any Gohan's project, even if it
Wow!
usually
What?
Suzuki is the cheap project.
Bro!
And you can usually tell that he's working on a show if
the
the
fuck?
camera is doing fucking gymnastics. Have you ever cut your balls while shaving? I know this guy has. Well, that will be a Walk Horizon, Symphogear, and ew, Fairy Tail.
What?
Many anime studios.
I
the
love
quality
Fairy
on their series
Tail.
varies depending on how much money they think it will make. I honestly couldn't find too much more information on Satellite. We're getting to the point where a lot of these animation studios only have information available in Japanese, and my translation skills of Google Translate are they're not
Walk
holding
Horizon?
up as well. But yeah, they make some good stuff.
Never seen it.
Comwave Films was founded in 2007 after it split off from Comics Wave, and is most well known for creating the movies directed by Makoto Shinkai. He's in movies like Your Name, Suzume, and Weathering
Dude! Comics Wave? That's what
and
they're
is
called?
most well known for creating the movies directed by Makoto Shinkai.
Makoto Shinkai, he makes my favorite films ever. I loved Your Name. I loved Weathering with You. I love Suzume.
He's made movies like Your Name, Suzume, and Weathering with You. Shinkai has been working with Comics Wave ever since 2004, and the polish for these movies are genuinely insane. It all started in 1999 when Makoto Shinkai wrote, animated, and directed She and Her Cat. Comics Wave liked it so much that they brought him on to make more movies with the studio, and the rest is history. Shinkai films are pretty much always about star-crossed lovers, and some of my favorites include Garden of Words and
Oh, I
Five
haven't seen Children Chase the Lost of Voices. I haven't seen The Place Promised.
meters per second.
Early days
or
either.
Underrated ones. Although I think his pinnacle works are Your Name and Suzume.
Those
According
look
to
so
Polish
good.
animator Mateusz Urbanowicz. I'm so sorry if I butchered.
I
that.
hated
Comics
5
Wave had
centimeters
pretty
per
good
second
working
though.
conditions. He said
I hated 5 centimeters per second.
although I think his pinnacle works are Your Name and Suzume. According to Polish animator Mateusz Urbanowicz. I'm so sorry if I butchered
Elaborate.
that.
I was 16, 17 when I watched it. Maybe 18. I don't really remember. But I was a teen. And it was one of my first romance movies. And I wanted them to get together. And then they just like literally, I was so depressed. I was like, what the fuck? These two people were like lovers. And then they grew up. And now they're depressed and they hate themselves. And they're never gonna see each other again?
Comics Wave have pretty good working conditions. He said
I'm depressed!
and I was
Why the fuck did I watch this? I was trying to escape and be happy!
contract, which felt stable. Honestly, kind of goated for such amazing animation quality. Tesa Productions was founded in 1968 by Osamu Tezuka, the godfather of manga. It was originally a branch of Mushi Productions, but soon adapted many Tezuka mangas like Marvelous Manga.
Godfather of
If you're curious,
Manga's
had
crazy.
the first ever panty shot in anime. The interesting thing
The
about
first
Tesa
ever
Productions is that
panty
they
shot.
still make anime using a lot of Tezuka's IP. Just recently in 2019, they co-produced Dororo with Mappa. Sometimes they even make anime that have nothing to do with Tezuka, like quintessential quintuplets, and most recently an anime about this guy trying to raise up a robot. Lien Films was founded in 2012 by Ultra Super Pictures, a joint holding company that includes Sun Zijin,
Ultra
Corday,
Super
Trigger, and
Pictures.
Galaxy Graphics. They're most well known
Jesus.
for anime like Tokyo Revengers, Initial D, and Yamada-kun and the Seven Witches. While all these shows on their own aren't really bad,
I watched
none of them
Yamada-kun
are
with
extremely exceptional. But then there's
Chang.
an outlier for Lien Films, Berserk 2016. Now, you don't need me to tell you just how awful
Oh,
this looks.
brother.
Lien is responsible for making this absolute shit show of an anime. According to an interview with the Berserk
Oh.
producer, Ryo Kuruso,
That's a
they wanted to
stain on the
try
studio.
something new, and I'm guessing what happened is that they tried to adapt Miura's extremely detailed art style into, detailed 3D models, but honestly, they just made the whole thing look 20 times worse when it was in action. Thankfully, CGI Berserk did get a facelift with our next studio. Forc Studios was founded in 1986 by Eiko Tanaka
4C.
and Koji Morimoto. They're most well known for making out their anime like Mind Game, which if you haven't watched, definitely check it out. It's directed by Masaki Yuasa, the same guy who directed Devilman Crybaby and Ping Pong. Anyway,
That
they're
shit
also
looks
most well known
insane.
for working on the Golden Age movies for Berserk that honestly weren't half bad, but at the same time, so much is cut out of these movies, and it's hard to not compare the godly illustrations of the Berserk manga to the anime. So to anyone that wants to get into the franchise, I just cannot in good faith recommend these movies. Like, please just read the manga.
They did
Even
give
at
us
its
that
worst, Berserk looks better than the
banger OST. Or what, I don't know what studio did.
majority of manga you will ever read. And at its best, oh boy, put this shit on my
Holy
plate, not eat it.
shit.
They seem to be continuing with making CGI movies, so I guess we'll see more CG projects from them in the future. Studio Lerche was founded in 2011 as a subsidiary of Studio Hibari. They've worked on anime like Assassination Classroom, Classroom of the Elite, and the Danganronpa anime adaptation. Seiji Kishi
Damn,
is one
they
of the
made
more
a lot
prolific
of
directors at the
pop-
animation
popular
studio,
ones.
having directed all of the previous anime that I just mentioned. And their animation quality is usually pretty mid. I mean, they do a good job of
Oh.
adapting specific styles like the Danganronpa
Ooh.
anime and Toilet Bound Hanako-kun. Both of those look pretty on point with their manga counterparts, but at the same time, light novel adaptations like Classroom of the Elite really don't look that great. As with most anime, the staff working on it, the budget, and the time constraints are usually more
They
important
love
than
classrooms? Somebody check that hard drive.
the actual studio itself when it comes to animation quality. Pink Pineapple is a production company that specializes in creating a more
Pink
special type of
Pineapple? Hey, yo, I better not see Queen Bee on here.
anime. It was founded by KSS and sold to Soft Garage later. Pink Pineapple is known for having a pretty good track record when it comes to their adaptations. As most of them have pretty decent animation. They've done some pretty
Pink
corny anime
Pineapple,
like
the
Rams,
goat.
Masterpiece, and Fella Pure. Some of my personal favorites. I'm just gonna put that out there. But it's worth noting that since they are a production company, not every one of their projects is going to be at the same quality. Although
Bro's putting
from
you
personal
on.
Experience, it's almost always pretty good. Queen Bee is another production.
No!
God damn, do I hate these guys?
Fuck
When you
Queen
see a
Bee!
new anime with with
I'll
the
never
awesome
forgive Queen
thumbnail that
Bee.
says Queen Bee when you click on it. Oh man, that's how you know it's just gonna be trash.
It ain't
bro.
even
You see
worth
the ugly
watching.
bastard NTR tags, bro.
Bah!
Queen Bee is well known for using the popular software Microsoft PowerPoint to animate all of their shows.
On
Okay,
God.
Real talk, I couldn't find much information on Queen Bee other than they're owned by a company called Media Bank that was founded in 2017. But yeah, Queen Bee adaptations just suck. They just suck. Okay. Buddy Walker is the last of these special anime studios I'm gonna go over. And
Special.
this is a subsidiary of the T-Rex Production Studio. These guys were the absolute goats of my middle school years. Making sure they actually
My
look and
sweet
be
elder
real
sister,
plus-size
the
stuff anime, you know what
animation
I'm saying?
is crazy.
Their animation quality is pretty consistent and good, but it doesn't reach the peaks of Pink Pineapple in my opinion. Anyway, that is every anime studio explained. That's the end of this series. If you enjoyed this
All
kind of
right.
content,
That is every single studio ever. Damn. Now we gotta look into animators. I want to do like animator highlights where we like look at their cuts and see like nice cut, G.